Hey everybody,
What's up?
it's been a minute. We took an off week last week because Diego flaked on me, so this is my
Basically.
episode to call him out on it. No, we both been traveling for the bit. Um,
hmm
was in Chicago, still catching up on sleep from the Memorial Day weekend. It's been insane. Diego was just talking about how he is not feeling getting up at 5 a.m.
Yeah,
because his body tells him to. So I
it's
hear you,
true.
man. I hate those moments when I wake up earlier than I wanna. It's
Yeah,
like you robbed me
happens
of
too
my
often.
pride and joy, like the one thing that brings me peace. Can't
True.
be doing that.
For real, for real.
Okay, all right. Let's not waste any more time. Like last time we talked, I thought the Nuggets had solved the puzzle. They were going to end up pulling it out in
Jeez.
Game 7, and they were up by 20, and
They were up
then
by
it
20.
happened. They just combusted. The Wolves just shocked everybody in the Nuggets
Yeah,
home floor, and they end up in the conference finals. Um,
huge.
lots Pacers come up huge in Game 7, steal one
True.
from the Knicks. Look unbelievable while doing that, and then the conference finals happened, and I was like expecting games to go 6 or 7 in both series, and that is clearly not the case. We'll talk about both series very soon, but Diego, over the past 2 weeks, how do you describe the amount of basketball we've seen?
Crazy. I mean, both game sevens. I mean, I'd say more the Wolves Nuggets game seven was an instant classic. Really showed really showed Nuggets kind of needing more depth. Christian Brown being the only kind of bench guy making some sort of impact. No Peyton Watson really, no Julian Strother at all. And I think big win for the Wolves kind of puts them on the map. But also the Pacers really exceeding everyone's expectations, even though they've kind of faced a lot of injuries, but they've taken advantage. Very interesting for both of those teams, kind of younger teams. I wasn't expecting the Pacers to be here, so I'm really happy about that for them. And oh, I think those two series weren't too bad. Definitely interesting. Sad for the Knicks though. Knicks just got like out not outworked, but just they had nothing left.
Outbodied. Yeah.
hmm No, there's no more next man up because there were no there's no next man to go up. Like they're just out of people. And it was
But
sad, but
I don't want to discredit the Pacers. When like Jalen Brunson
no,
got hurt and out for the game, like the Knicks were already losing like
no,
significantly.
yeah,
Okay. So like the Pacers earned that Game 7 win.
hmm
But at the same time, it is fair to say, oh, Julius Randle is there as much as I
yeah,
despise Julius as like a first option. Um,
yeah,
and like if Jalen, Ananobi, like Hart, like if they were all not dealing with things, um, like this is a different team. This
hmm
is a different team, and even with those guys like fully healthy, I do think the Knicks are one player away.
yeah,
I do think they're one player away, despite them losing to the Pacers like this, because I look at the effect that Pascal had on the Pacers, and he's
hmm
really like a 1B, and
oh,
Tyrese
definitely,
is like the 1A of that
yeah.
offense.
He's
And
just
then
a
you got
playmaker.
guys that can shoot out the dribble and whatnot. And the Knicks have a lot of like those guys that can get their own shot in some ways and are unique in different ways, but they don't have that co-star with like Jalen Brunson. I'm not thinking it's Julius Randle. I think
No,
Julius is like a nice to have. Like to me, he's like the East version of Carl Anthony Towns.
yeah, I could see that.
Yeah,
Slightly more physical, but still,
right.
yeah, I can understand that. I just think, but like, who do they kind of replace? It does also feel weird because it feels like Josh Hart's now like a starter on this team, but he wasn't at all until Julius Randle went down. So it's very interesting.
I think you try to get Paul George. I really do.
Ooh. I mean, we've heard rumors of him going to Orlando or Philadelphia, but I wouldn't be mad. I wouldn't be mad about him going to New York, especially him as he's such a good player that can play off ball. He doesn't need to be like the 1A like we've talked about, and so I like that. It's a good thought.
Yeah. I probably need to do some more thinking because a lot of times with the superstar free agents, they get their options picked up or they get like
Yeah.
max contracts before they even hit free agency. So we could talk about all these guys, but Um, yeah, Knicks I think need to continue to add. They're almost
Oh,
there. They've been
definitely.
adding pieces, and you see the results for themselves. But they
Yeah.
got to keep building the fortress
Yeah.
because
One big thing I
yeah,
think for them is they're not just gonna like take a swing at any free agent. They're gonna wait for the right guy. They could have tried to get Donovan Mitchell when he was a free agent, but they didn't. Especially because him and Jalen Brunson would have been a nightmare defensively. Two six
they
three
could
number
still get
guards.
Mitchell. They
They
could.
could, but I don't think it would be. I think defensively you're really mortgaging that to have like a superstar offense. But I think they're waiting for the right guy, and Paul George is a great guy. I mean, that would be really interesting. So we'll see there. But yeah, I think a lot of questions. I think Paul George is definitely out of LA this year. I mean, if they could have agreed to a contract, they would have already. There's no reason they wouldn't have. So, and this has been since the middle of the season. So I think there's
Yeah,
good reason to think he's not coming back to LA.
we'll see. We'll see. I personally, if I'm like the Clippers, I'm trying to build everything back up. Um,
Yeah,
with the
possibly.
current stars you have. Not saying rebuild.
Yeah, like
Sorry.
retool.
Like I would. I get it. They've just been unlucky.
Yeah,
They literally just been unlucky. Like they've
just the
had
least
injuries
amount of
strike
love.
like Leonard and Paul George like
Hmm.
for consecutive seasons now. And it's like I wouldn't give up on that because I think the second you do, you're gonna regret it.
Yeah,
So, um, yeah, very curious to see what the Knicks do. If I'm the Nuggets, I agree with you. I think their depth was in question for a bit, but I also think at times like they weren't they weren't like spreading the ball as much. And like I think you notice like Jokic put guys in the right spot and they got to make shots.
mm,
That part's definitely true. But I I do think I do think Murray and Porter could have been a little bit more strategic in how they went about their
yeah,
offenses because they're aggressive scorers, and when they're on, it looks amazing. But sometimes I think they force things too much. And I thought like winning the championship would kind of force them out of that. And
mm,
especially after they won on the Lakers series. Like I thought they were right back to season schedule. But those are two guys I would look at and say there's still growth that needs to happen despite being an NBA champion.
yeah,
And Porter's grown a ton, but probably at the margins there they can improve. Um, and then the depth you mentioned, I think they need to get they need to get more 3 and D guys that are great on the shooting
hmm,
aspect of that. So if they can somehow grab like a Nemhard level player that from the
yeah,
bench, that would be the type of guy I would try to get because he can get his own shot, but he can also shoot out the dribble and whatnot. And maybe that's taking a chance on Neesmith. I don't know. Like just looking at things, I
maybe,
get it. They're recent memory. They're playing in the finals, but like these are quality guys. Maybe Terrence Mann from the Clippers. Like
yeah,
I think it would be a seamless fit on the Nuggets.
hmm,
Like aim for guys like that. Aim for guys like that.
yeah. I'd say a big thing for Porter is he was lights out in the Lakers series and kind of disappeared near the end of the Wolves series. That's a big thing there, and I one big thing for the Nuggets, the way the Timberwolves kind of guarded them, they allowed they allowed Murray like on a Murray Jokic pick and roll. Jokic just set the screen, but then Cat is gonna shade Jokic really hard, not let the pass get to him, and that kind of messes with their offense. And additionally, in Game 7 especially, Jokic hit it like taking all those threes and missing all of them instead of getting other guys
He took
involved.
like
I don't
eight
want to say it's his
threes.
fault.
That
Yeah, I
was
wouldn't say it's his fault that he shouldn't have taken those threes, but it's in the sense that the Wolves were like, "You go score on us. You're not gonna get your other guys ready." And that night he just couldn't hit. And if since he wasn't getting anyone else involved, it really hurt them, and that's why they lost. So
yeah,
big thing there.
you never see Jokic attempt eight threes in a game.
Yeah, it was
Like
really weird.
that's an outlier like thing that I don't think you'll see it
Hmm.
from him. It's not
Yeah,
like he can't make that. It's not like he doesn't want to, but like I think his game he understands himself. and he understands he's best like in the middle of the floor, controlling the action and getting other guys involved and just just taking the life out of opponents with hook
Yeah,
shots that are just like
so difficult.
unguardable because
Yeah,
it's like he's doing a routine or doing a practice when he's doing it, no matter
mm,
who's on him. And like him shooting threes, like he'll probably take 3 or 4 a game. Expect that of Jokic. She's not taking 8. Let's
yeah.
like if you put a prop bet out for Jokic attempting 8 threes, I would bet the under every time.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think it kind of shows not necessarily, I guess it shows Cat's dedication, but also kind of what you need to guard Jokic. I mean, Rudy Gobert, Defensive Player of the Year, can't guard Jokic 1-on-1. Now, I'm not saying Cat locked up Jokic, but Cat can at least not get stuck pushed under the rim and like laid up on. Uh, so that's a big thing. Like the Lakers tried it last year, putting Rui, but Rui's not strong enough. It's a good idea putting like a less skilled defensive player, but you need a less skilled defensive player that has the mass, not just the mass, but the size to hold up against Jokic, who's just gigantic. Like I love the phrase, like built like a fridge. Like he's one of those kind of players,
And
and
that's why a
so
guy like Nas Reed was so effective guarding him.
hmm
Like he's like the perfect Jokic defender. Like
yeah, he's
because
pretty
he's
strong.
quick enough to get to the ball
Hmm.
and he's strong enough to like fend off like any Jokic post ups.
Yeah,
So
I think the biggest thing was just mostly it was Cat, but then having having Nas there is sort of like a
it gives you
switch up.
more freedom in the foul trouble game.
That
Like
too.
a lot
Yeah,
more
that's a
freedom.
big. I still can't understand how Carl Anthony Towns is just so bad at not like he's always in foul trouble.
Yesterday he drew like 3 offensive fouls.
And he got yeah, and he fouled out, so kind of wild.
Yeah. I did want to ask about the Mavs. The Mavs against
Jeez.
the Thunder. Was there any
Okay.
feedback you got? Yeah, no, sorry, wasn't gonna go over last night. I
No.
still talking about the quarterfinals here.
Mm-hmm. Feedback from that, I guess. I think the biggest thing is just one of the most impactful players on this Mavericks team is a 20-year-old rookie who can somehow guard guards reasonably well for a 7 footer. Is really athletic and quick, but also has like an IQ that yeah, like we've talked about multiple times. He's got his rough points. He's not perfect, but he is a great player at this age and is really bright spot. And especially after winning that series, I myself like after all the stuff seeing how Kyrie and Luka won't work, how like taking for a draft pick is crazy. I mean, it really came out very well to get Derek Lively. And like even early in the season, I was just like, and when we drafted him, I was like, I really don't know who this guy is. And like we've said before, Lucas kind of unlocked him, and he's become a really great player. So shouts to him. Daniel
Hope
Gafford,
he stays healthy.
that too. Well, we can talk about that. Daniel Gafford, just the centers. PJ Washington really did his thing in that series,
He
and
was cooking,
yeah,
absolutely on fire from three.
the shooting and the confidence is just huge. I think the run, the biggest thing we'll talk about a little bit later too, is just the to be able to hang your hat on defense after not doing that since this time 2 years ago is huge. Like that's what I've always thought is what the Mavs need is just to play defense. Worry about the offense will come. You have an MVP candidate. You have Kyrie Irving. Is you don't really have to worry about the offense when you have good defense, and I have really enjoyed it. So I think it's a big thing for me. Shea, hats off to him. He deserves to be a top 3 MVP candidate the way he was making some of those shots. And it's tough that like yeah the Mavs won in 6, but it's still like I hope no one forgets that it was just a Shea foul to win us that game. Like, it's still a really close game in Dallas, so definitely could have come out differently. So it's a good thing to think about.
Yeah, the one guy we did want to touch on was Gafford. Like
Hmm.
I get it. Holmgren was like leading the league in blocks all season, and that series he played out of his mind defensively.
Yeah.
He looked impressive. Even in the Timberwolves series, he's looked impressive. Like
Hmm.
blocking a shot to steal the game. He was like he was averaging like 3 blocks in their wins. I feel like
Yeah.
he was just you noticed like
Hmm.
like when Gaffer was on the floor defensively. Like
Yeah.
most of his baskets come from lob dunks. And when he does, he dunks the ball so violently that you feel his presence there. But his
Mhm.
blocks are with the same energy, and you gotta love a player like that. So,
Yeah.
um, for me, that's the player that stood out for sure, as well as like PJ. And a player that stood out in the bad way was Kyrie,
Yeah.
because I was puzzled. I was puzzled why he wasn't hitting 20 points or why he was performing from
Mhm.
a point standpoint like the way he was. He was getting a lot of assists, but
Yeah.
I was just like, that is Kyrie getting locked up right now? Like
Yeah.
that's I would be majorly concerned with if I'm like teams in that conference with OKC, because
Mhm.
they
Yeah.
continuing to build, and building for them is getting the number one seed with this team set up. So like they
Mm.
just need they just need like a Gafford like player like on that
Yeah.
team.
An
And
actual
suddenly,
center, I think.
yeah, yeah.
uh yeah, I guess
Like
go ahead.
Holmgren has been like remarkable for them for like playing center as
Mhm.
like a defender. But like for what Shea does and like what Jalen Williams like to do and like the
Yeah.
Giddy as far as like getting to the paint, like if you have a secondary option to throw lob dunks to at the center spot or like set the picks, it'll make it a lot easier for them to get to the paint,
Mhm.
um, and make an impact. And maybe that's the other Jalen Williams taking a step forward on the
Yeah, no,
bench.
this was a bad series for him. That series against us. So I think that was a big thing as well. Like Kyrie might have been off, but so was Jalen Williams. So that was big. And I think a big thing for Kyrie being off was once they got Case and Wallace on him. Case and Wallace, a little bit bigger, uh, like a rookie, really energetic guy. He played great defense. So it was definitely scary hours for a second, but I think it was good we got through that. It was a big series, and yeah, I was really surprised. Just I remember we won that, and it was we were like pre gaming before going out, and I was just yelling like "Let's go!" Like no one thought we would be here, and so yeah, it's really awesome.
And now the Mavs are one game away from the finals.
Yep, it's right there.
Okay. All right. Before we talk about them again,
Hmm.
we're going to talk about the Celtics sweeping the Pacers.
Yeah.
I know I talked about this with the Nuggets and the Lakers last season,
Hmm.
but I don't think I've seen a competitive sweep like this. Like
Yeah.
this
The
game,
bronze broom.
like this series does not feel like it should have gone 4-0. It
No.
should like this should have gone 6 or 7. And
Yeah.
the Pacers literally choked away like 2 games, and like the Celtics took like two away from them, and it
Hmm.
was just it just looked that way. It was just like,
It's
wow,
difficult.
Pacers are hanging around. Like, don't get me wrong, Celtics are the more talented team, but the Pacers played better for like 46 minutes,
Yeah.
and they they looked like they belonged where they were at, and it was not a fluke that they got here.
No,
So all
definitely.
props to the Pacers for what they've done this season, but man, was I surprised that the series was over like 2 days ago. I was just like, what? Wait, they Celtics swept? Like I was just so confused, and it was just like
Yeah.
if you just tuned into the game with 2 minutes remaining, y- like the only thing you would got is like Pacers are choke artists, but there's a lot more to unwrap with this series.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing was just you have guys like Aaron Neesmith, Andrew Nembhard, especially with Tyrese Halliburton out for the like I think it was the last 3 games, 2.5 games.
Two, yeah.
Yeah, like these two guys that no like shots at them, but I don't know, they're not the offensive creators you we were seeing. I mean, they were really cooking, hitting some really intense, difficult shots, and I think that was a
Andrew
big thing.
Nimhard, 30 points,
Like what it
30 points in a game.
I would have bet my life on that not like you can't tell me you thought no one can say they thought that was happening. And I think a big thing was just the confidence boost he got after hitting that three on the Knicks. Like that has to have some sort of impact. You hitting that kind of shot and you have to think if I can make that shot, I can make all these other shots. So that's big for them. Gives a lot of hope, but I agree. They completely choked some of those games. And credit to the Celtics. I mean, they were the better team, and they waited 46 minutes to make sure that that was how they were seen in the result of the game. But yeah, very very good effort from the Pacers. I'm not mad. I'm not mad at them. Definitely wish they could have gone six. That would have been more interesting. Kind of help the Mavs out as well. But it's a
I
good
think some of the
series.
late game, like
Hmm.
execution was horrible.
Just
Like
turnovers, terrible
like
turnovers, shot
the
selection.
Tyrese like losing the ball on the sideline, that's inexcusable.
That was
Like
crazy.
that
Yeah.
cannot happen in in the semifinals. That simply can't. Simply
No.
can't. Like
Now, granted, he's 20. I think he's like 24, so he's got
yeah.
time. But I mean, that's what we said about Trey Young. And where
We
are the
could say
Hawks
that about a
now?
lot of guys at this stage.
Hmm.
And it's the same reason why the Celtics have to win the championship this year.
Yeah.
Because these guys are coming. They are 24 and they're getting better. But also, you never know when you're going to get this this opportunity like this again. Like
Yeah.
the structure is there, but like teams change year to year.
Hmm.
So I mean, like yeah, I I mean honestly, the Pacers lost in 6 or 7. I wouldn't be mad because of their effort level, like for 46 minutes, and they
Yeah.
played like that in like these 4 games, but they
Hmm.
ended up on the wrong side and they didn't seal the deal.
Yeah. I can't say I'm mad at them either. I mean, again, I honestly thought the Bucks were gonna not wipe the floor with them, but I thought the Bucks would have won in 5 or 6 pretty handily until Dame went down. So I just yeah, good season for the Pacers. And big thing is just like they're not playing guys like Jarris Walker, some of the younger guys. Benedict Mathurin has been out. He was a big part of
Shoulder
their
injury.
yeah, big part of their regular season. So definitely things to come for their team. I think. Oh, how could I forget my favorite player on the Pacers, T.J. McConnell, man. They're I love watching him play. Love the hustle. I still can't believe he can't shoot threes. Just kind of weird, but a lot of
You can make them though. He was making
mhm.
them.
Yeah,
Like
he had some
percentage
weird
wise, like
celebration like this.
it's not great, but like he's a 3 point shooter.
Yeah,
I don't get that narrative honestly.
yeah. I don't know either, but there were definitely a few moments where I was just like, oh, TJ, like I got excited. Like I think he got like a wide open layup and he missed it, stuff like that. And like he's not young, like he is. I don't want to say he's no excuse, but he's been in this league for a few years. He's got to lock that up. But
Yeah.
I think he might be close to taking that title of best backup point guard in the league. That was Tyus Jones before, and now he is the starting point guard of the Wizards, who
Mhm.
actually just got a new coach today, Brian Keefe. Keefe, I think. O'Keefe, something like that.
I did
So
not see
yeah,
that at all. I did not have that on my radar.
yeah. So interesting. I really like him. So I'm excited for whatever the Pacers are going to do. I hope they can come back here. But again, you might have taken advantage with the Sixers, who now have another year of Embiid Maxey to get solidified. Rumors of them trying to get Jimmy Butler to make things right. The Knicks reloading with an actually healthy roster. I don't know. The Celtics again, possibly defending champions if they win. Bucks if they're healthy. Like, yeah, the East is not the West, but it's
The
definitely not gonna be
Bulls.
a cakewalk. I'd be down. I mean, there's so many rumors about Lonzo playing again. I'm down to
Dude,
see it.
I want him. Like
I want it.
and it's the same. I didn't mean it like that. Okay, get your
No,
head
no,
out of the gutter.
I understand, but it's just funny. Nah, bro, we be saying stuff like that all the time here.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, I think what these playoffs has shown me though is, and granted, the two teams probably going to the finals aren't probably best representative with this because they have 2 stars, but like the teams that made it this far aren't necessarily like two top heavy players leading the way.
hmm.
It's been because the team has been 7 or 8 players deep that
Yeah.
are all like can get their own shot, defend, and provide value on the whole offense and play as a team. That's
Hmm.
what you see. You saw with the Nuggets is probably like one team last season, and
Yeah.
then the Celtics were had that potential, but like they didn't play up to it last season. But now have you
Mhm.
seen like all 4 teams in the conference finals play unselfishly, play 5, 8 guys. Like you got Obi Top and then
Mhm.
TJ
Yeah.
McConnell subbing in with like 6 minutes to go in the first quarter. And you normally don't see substitutions like that to
Mhm.
that magnitude. Same with OKC, same with Timberwolves here. Like if
Mhm.
you don't have 7 or 8 guys deep, it's a problem now. Like that's something the Lakers ran into this playoffs. Um,
Mhm.
and for the Bulls, with their situation, just real quick,
Yeah.
you got Lonzo, Levine, DeRozan, Vucevic, Patrick Williams, Kobe
Yeah.
White, Desunmu. Like that is
Mhm.
a that's
And Andre
good.
Drummond.
And
Yeah.
like I hope they can keep Andre Drummond. Um,
Yeah.
he's probably gonna get a massive deal with
You
someone
think
else
so?
because of the way he
Really?
played. Yeah, I think so. Um,
Yeah.
that you already got your 8 guys there.
True.
You just need to win at the margins. So for like the
Hmm.
Bulls, low key, I don't think you should blow it up because look at these playoffs. You need 7, 8 guys that can all like good, solid guys that provide even better value in the playoffs from a 3 and D perspective.
No,
So,
definitely interesting there.
yeah,
I guess one little we kind of have talked around it, mentioned a little bit, but the Celtics. I mean, besides, I mean, I know we've kind of been criticizing them. I think I don't know if I talked to you about this meme, but there's a meme about like Luca's path to the finals if we win, and then it's like him like with a shell shocked soldier, like he's got the helmet on, he just like blank face with all the all stars he's had to play against, and it's like Jason Tatum with the Mickey Mouse hat or Mickey Mouse ears, and it's like all the players that have been injured for him, and then like Donovan Mitchell and Tyrese Halliburton.
but people just completely ignore LeBron going to 9 straight finals. Okay,
Yeah,
come on. There's a reason. There's a reason he got to 9 straight finals appearances in that conference. Okay, let's not just change the narrative to like dog on Jason Tatum now. All
no,
right,
no, yeah, but I
that's
mean,
my completely unwarranted LeBron mention here. So,
all right,
yeah, no,
uh,
I hear you, but like
well, I,
respectfully, that's like from players who that's from people who don't watch the games. Because
yeah,
if you watch the Celtics close out the Pacers in every single one of these games, they do it with authority and they do it with this confidence that I haven't seen from the Celtics in the past 2 seasons. Like I would not say they I could expect this Celtics against the Warriors and the Heat. They are a
mm,
different team, and I'm eating my words from 2 weeks ago when I said after losing games 2 in both their series,
oh yeah,
Celtics better watch out. Like because it felt like they were letting things slip away and letting their talent go to waste. And how did they respond? Jalen Brown, Derek White,
Jalen
Jason
Brown,
Tatum, Drew Holiday are like, we're not going to let that happen. We're going to put our stamp on this game in our own ways. And Jalen Brown, especially, has probably been the most improved player in this playoffs in my eyes.
mm-hmm.
Because you look at where he was last season with like just as
All
explosive guy
security,
who can get to the rim, but like reckless with the ball, doesn't take care of the ball,
mm-hmm.
and disappeared in the moment his team needed it most.
Yeah,
Avatar mentioned there.
yeah, I
Sorry,
was about to
I
say
couldn't
that
help
too.
myself.
No, it's good.
And he turns into this guy who's suddenly putting up 25 to 30 on a regular in like
Yeah,
this series, and it's like if you're getting that, it doesn't matter that Tatum has like sub 20 points. If you're getting production out of Peyton Pritchard, um, and like Derek White, and they're scoring like 15 each or 20 each, like it doesn't matter. If like Al Horford hits like 5 threes in the game, you don't need Jason Tatum to be this Luka Doncic superstar. You
mm-hmm.
can have him be like an ancillary piece and have that luxury because of the other guys that ball deep. And but I will say this about them. I think especially with if Minnesota somehow comes back and wins it in 7, or if like the Mavs win, you need Porzingis. You
Yeah,
need Porzingis because both those teams have 3
Twin
bigs
Towers.
that can finish at the rim, defend, and like if you don't have a big like that, like Al Horford has been admirable defensively, but
Yeah,
I don't trust him stopping a dunk against
he just doesn't have the
against either of those
verticality.
Western teams. Like
Hmm.
that and like the 3 point shooting. Like I think you can minimize this 3 point shooting for Al Horford. Now with Porzingis, it's
Porzingis
different
is tough. Yeah,
because he's not only 7 foot,
seven
he's
foot
got
three.
range from the parking lot now, and he's a
Mm.
great shot blocker too. On top
Yeah,
of that, so um, that's the X factor for me when I look at the Celtics in the finals.
yeah. I think I'm surprised you didn't mention, but Drew Holiday really has put his stamp on this team as well. I
I
love.
should have. I
I
should have. I mentioned it briefly, but I should have mentioned it more.
yeah, I love. I mean, I saw a thread of it's just like Drew Holiday game-winning plays in the playoffs. I think I don't know what the first one was, but one of them was that steal and was it was like game 5 or yeah, it must have been game 5 in the 2021 finals where he like rips Devin Booker
Yeah.
and this he lobs it up to Giannis.
Giannis.
Jeez, what a play! I mean, a play like that in this series. I think. Oh no, I think it was a play in the 2022 playoffs where he locks up Marcus Smart, like falling down, throws a ball at him, then it goes out of bounds. That play, and then he made a play. I think it was in Game 3. Uh, just I love the way he plays defense. He's like no one can tell me anything about Drew Holiday. Like he's just such a good defender. I want him to win a defensive player of the year because he deserves like he can guard almost anyone.
100%.
And he's gonna be an X factor, definitely. Even if Porzingis is in. I think
Thank you for
Porzingis
not
will be
mentioning
interesting.
him locking down Dame in the Pelicans Blazers series just a couple
Yeah,
moons ago. Yeah.
a couple, that is many, many moons. Both on
Yeah,
different teams at that point.
but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean to your point, like game 3, like Pacers are literally trying to go ahead to tie the game or get the game in a basket. I can't remember at the time.
Okay.
And Holiday just says, "Nope, your
Yeah.
possession's mine.
Oh
Bye."
no, yeah,
And
yeah.
it's like, wow,
I think he was guarding wasn't he guarding Nemhard or he was
Nemhard.
Neesmith?
And
Nemhard.
Nemhard
Yeah.
Nemhard had like 30 in that game at that
That's
point.
what it was,
He
yes.
was
And
tearing everybody apart. And the Pacers stopped playing unselfishly. Said, Nemhard, you have 30, win
yeah,
us the
keep
game.
going.
And I mean, personally, I wouldn't play that way at the last possession, but I see why you would want to trust him with the ball at that point. He was
Yeah.
cooked. I get it. I get it.
No,
But
no.
in comes Drew Holiday.
Yeah.
These are the types of moments when he rises to the surface. This is why the
Yeah.
Celtics traded for him. And
Yeah.
I hear you, man. Like him, White, and Porzingis make this team different than the Celtics
Mhm.
have passed.
No, definitely. And I think big thing is especially on that play, like I think in game 4, somehow I heard like comment like he was basically talking about that play where he strips Nemhard and he's like calm. He's just like, yeah, like I just knew the whole game he was like going right, and I knew this was my time to just pounce on that. And that's what he did. He was kind of like sitting on the right hand, boom, takes it, and he's just gone. And it's like, God, like I just love great defense, and my guy plays some of the best defense at the guard position, and
100%.
I would have him lock anyone up. And so that's the scary part if the Mavs play them because
Even
yeah, I mean
Luca.
he's not gonna be matched up on Luca, he's gonna be matched up on Kyrie, but on a switch like that's still tough.
I don't know, man. I don't like because Derek White is also a great defender as well. I
Well,
feel
I
like
think
they can interchange them on White. I mean on Kyrie
Kyrie,
and Luka.
yeah, I think
Plus,
Luca gets guarded by Jalen Brown. You need someone strong. I think that's a big thing in this series. We'll talk about it in a second, but you need some strength there.
yeah. Personally, I'd probably still put Holiday.
Yeah,
I'd probably still put Holiday. I would probably put Brown on PJ Washington in that environment.
but then
Or a big, or the big in that like and that might be Washington. But like
depends.
I certainly don't want Tatum on Luca.
Yeah, I
Um
don't know. Tatum's bigger, but Tatum I could see on PJ, and you could put him in more of a roaming role. But I guess
yeah.
that's Porzingis' thing. We'll see.
But my point is like with the Celtics team in general, like one through four, they can match up with anybody
Yeah, and
on the
switch
other
it
side.
very
Which
well.
is but yeah, they have the guys and like skill set to switch it. And then you
Mhm.
have the five and the shot blocking Porzingis, who can like guards a lot better than he did earlier in his career. But um yeah, it's the team from top to bottom is good. They earned this win against the Pacers.
Yeah.
I would not discredit this team based on the injury. I think the injuries happening from round to round is just like a fortunate bounce for them. But all year long, we were talking about this team like they better go back to the finals. With
Yeah.
this talent level and this coach and what after what happened with the Heat, you got to go back to the finals. So
No, man.
um, we'll wrap it up on this topic. We'll jump to the Mavs being up by 3-1 on the Timberwolves. I know you're
Yeah.
watching this closely as a fan. You're on
Jesus.
your heels. You were so excited for the NBA Finals to start.
Yeah.
Plenty of rest for Luca and Kyrie, and then it happened. The Wolves then took
God.
the lead at the end, and they get up on the scoreboard. Wolves in 7.
I hope not. Man, I was sitting here literally like not yelling because it was pretty late and my roommates had gone to bed, but I was actually livid, man, because it's just, uh, I think the biggest thing for me is that Rudy Gobert has 5 fouls in the fourth quarter, and no one thinks, let's go right at him, make him make a decision, and if he makes a decision,
Even
make
though
the ref.
Luca hit the game winner on him.
Well,
Like, literally.
yeah, like that too. But it's just, and then like one thing this is gonna be a big like not call out like a big reference, but like I think there's one play where Luca like gets a screen and he like can go in the paint, but he just retreats back to the 3 point line, and it's like, bro, just go to the paint, make things happen in the paint.
He
And
passed
so,
up a lot of shots in that game to like other guys
hmm
in game four. I saw that because there
yeah,
were a couple times where like passed up on threes and passed it to a guy on the wing because like it's habitual to do that when you're
hmm
swing passing. But like
yeah,
he was open. He could have taken a shot. And like the other guy he passed it to, like, wasn't as open. And that puzzled me. So like
hmm
Luca made some baffling decisions, still ended up with like 8 assists. And I needed that for my parlays. I'm really happy.
all
I
right,
probably could have bet on the triple double. That's all that matters to me watching the series. But I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
no, that's all
But
good.
Luca just looked different, like manufacturing the offense, like in game
Yeah,
four. And like didn't look as aggressive. And I'm like, wait, you were when you hit the game winner on Gobert.
yeah,
This is the time to you got all the momentum in the series. Just take it from them.
hmm I mean, it was a great Ant game, great Carl Anthony Towns game. Even though he fouled out, he was hitting some huge threes, and it just,
And he looked a lot more aggressive.
hmm
He like looked like his intent was to go to the basket, whereas like in earlier games it was just to shoot for the three. That's sorry. You mentioned Cat. That was the one thing I just
no,
had to
yeah,
mention because like if Cat keeps doing that, then it might be a problem for the Mavs. And
yeah,
then you have to shift your focus to like how do we stop Cat from being aggressive and get him back to reverting to the first two games.
yeah. Well, going to like this Luca, this is something I've noticed a lot in the playoffs, where like sometimes he'll have an open lane to the basket, but then kind of retreat back to the three. And so I actually just got this book called Hoop Atlas by Kirk Goldsberry, pretty fire. But this relates because the first chapter has to do with Jordan. Okay, Jordan with his shrug game. And so there's a quote where he says like, my 3 point shooting is something I don't want to excel at because it takes away from all phases of my game. So when you go to the 3 point line and start sitting there waiting for someone to find you, that's not my mentality. I don't want to create it because it takes away from other parts of my game. So like that's something we've like said with the step back three. Like, yeah, you hit the step back three, that's crazy. I mean, Luca hits an and one three, right? That's awesome. But
That was a ridiculous shot.
it was. But like after I was just cursing at my monitor, being like, how do you miss the free throw? Now he was also mad, so like understandable, but it's like you can't get too caught up on these threes. Like, yeah, that's the shot. That's what analytics says. But getting in the paint, nothing's gonna be better than getting in the paint. All right, like, yeah, you're wide open for a three, take that. But a step back three over a move to the rim when you have a lane, that has to be your move. And I don't know. I read that just today and I thought of it and I couldn't get on here and not say that. That's just something really big for me. And I think it's something that the Mavs really need to focus on. But yeah,
Think about Cat. Think about the other side with Cat.
yeah,
Like first 3 games, he was taking too many threes. He was hitting like he wasn't hitting on his averages of threes he was in the season. He was shooting abysmal. I think it was like 4 or 5 for 23
hmm
or something like that. And that was just a horrible percentage.
yeah,
And you look at game four and you started making it a point to get to the rim. When you get to the rim and when you get to the foul line, what that does is it gives you confidence that you can get wherever you want on the defense and put them like on their heels.
hmm
That opens up your spacing you need under 3 point shots and opens up your entire game. And if your 3 pointer's not falling, that means you're relying too much on making those, obviously, but you're in a very static environment where you're not like all the defense has to do is jump and try and contest it in the
yeah.
3 point situation. And if you revert to that, you're not really tiring the guys on defense out, and you're
hmm
not putting them on their heels in foul trouble or in chase actions and stuff and wearing them out as the game goes along. That's why it's important to say, okay, if my three's not falling, I need to go to the rim. It's my other option to get a point. That's
Yeah.
why it's important because the toll it takes on other players in the game, as well as like your own confidence in like getting the shooting reps and like close attacks to the basket and like figuring out strategies to get to the basket, that's going to help you set up for like what Luca does best, the step back three. Because if he's
Mhm.
getting to the paint, suddenly if he throws that step back, the defender is expecting him to continue that second step to get to the paint because
Yeah.
Luca's game is like bunnies, spin around fades. Like he can drive, he can dunk, but like he doesn't
Mhm.
do that as often. But like if he's hitting those and like getting paint touches, then his step back game is lethal. And I
Yeah.
think he needs to get back to that. And same thing with Cat. Like get to the be aggressive, go into the paint, do that, and your three is gonna fall eventually.
Mhm. Big X factors for the Mavs that I want to point out, or the main one is Jaden Hardy. Uh, second, second or third year player.
He was
I think
phenomenal.
I think he's a third year player. No, second year player. Played a little bit with G League and Ignite last year. He's just the way he's been playing. I wasn't like after Dante Exum kind of has been laying an egg. Besides last game in Game 4, I think it was just huge because what he does is whenever Luca, it's just Luca or Kyrie, he can be a secondary option of just playmaker. Like, yeah, he's not Luca or Kyrie, but he's in that same sort of playmaker mold where he can not only score the ball a little bit, hit a three, but he
He
can
can do some
also
traditional point guard stuff. That's
yeah,
what you're trying
like
to say.
lobbing it up. He can hit those kind of lobs. And my favorite play, I sent this tweet to you where like he has the ball, like I think he gets the ball for a rebound somehow, and then Gobert's guard him. He backs it up. He gives it to Luca. He's like, "Okay, you cook." And Luca's like, "No, what?" He gives it back to him. He's just like, "You go do it. You do something. You'll figure it out." On the Defensive Player of the Year, and I that had me giggling, man. Had me giggling. It was so funny.
There's
Oh,
a similar reel where LeBron passed it back to D'Lo, but it wasn't against the Wolves. It was against the Thunder, and
okay,
Jalen Williams is guarding him, and
yeah,
he was like, "No, D'Lo, you cook." That's what
yeah.
reminded me when I saw that.
So
I think it's
funny.
funny because that specific tweet was like calling out, "How do you have your defensive player of the year guarding
Yeah,
like the 12th best guy on the team?" And I'm like, "Dang, they're doing two people dirty." I don't think they're even realizing that,
yeah.
but yeah, I mean, Jaden Hardy's been solid. He's been great, but the player
Mhm.
that's been like besides Lively, obviously, the player
Yeah,
that I've continued to be impressed by is like Gafford.
I've
Yeah,
been
again, Gafford has been on like
uh-huh,
both ends of the floor. Like, um, when they won in Game 3, like
mhm.
that
Oh,
block
yeah,
and
yeah,
dunk like consecutively, like that sealed the game. That was the
mhm,
backbreaker on the Wolves. Like that was like the game the Wolves needed to win, and like
mhm,
Gafford just put his imprint on it, and like he forced he willed the Mavs to win that, and if you're getting that, especially with Lively hurt, and then
yeah,
Washington still trying to find his all around game to like be a third option that was going insane on his threes.
yeah,
If you have Gafford still doing wreaking havoc on the rim, that's a dangerous sign because that's another outlet for Luca and Kyrie to get to because both of
mm,
them can lob it to Gafford whenever they want,
yeah,
and then that opens up more like options for the paint touches that I talked about with Luca, but also Kyrie.
yeah, and then I think last point I wanted to make is Jaden Hart or not Jaden Hardy, Jaden McDaniels. Coming into the series, a lot of people are saying, "Oh, Jaden McDaniel, like and guarding Kyrie, Jaden McDaniels carrying guarding Luca." And I'd sort of I don't know if we talked about it here, but I didn't really have a lot of confidence in that just because Lou Dort gave Luca problems because Lou Dort is built like a linebacker. Like Lou Dort is huge and Luca's also
Yeah,
huge. And he a lot of his play is not with speed but with pace and being big and moving guys.
using his
So
size.
Lou Dort made that more difficult for Luca. But Jaden McDaniels, like I think yeah, someone said Lou Dort was built like a linebacker or like a bear maybe. But Jaden McDaniels built like a praying mantis. Like Luca it just moves him. Anytime he gets in front of Jaden McDaniels and then he goes up for a shot, Jaden McDaniels just fouls him. Obviously not intentionally. He's just trying to poke around. He has that length that he's used to being able to do that. But with Luca, with the guy who's not only around a similar size, maybe a bit shorter, but also bigger, it doesn't work. And I think that's a big reason why they got away from that. I think they had Ant guarding him, which is
Ant
smart
guarding. But
because
even
he's
Ant was
stronger.
like got called for a couple of reaches and things
Hmm.
like that. So
Yeah.
they don't have like a great guy to handle a guy like Luca.
Yeah.
Um, if I'm them, would you consider? starting Nas Reed along with Towns and Gobert, and then Ant and Conley, just to have the size to deal with Luca,
It's an
would
option,
you do
yeah.
that? Because like then then you could have Conley on Irving, and then you can have Ant on PJ Washington
Well, I don't really
or
love
Derek
the
Jones or something like that. And
yeah.
you give Ant a little bit of a reprieve from like having to guard Luca.
Mhm.
Um, but you also have like the size to like hand because Nas Reed can shift his feet well. Like he's
No,
the type of
he's a
player
reasonable defender.
like I would if I'm the Knicks, I'm trying to get him. If I'm the Thunder, I really want him.
Yeah.
Because he
Well,
could probably fill the void there.
a little bit, but I think a big thing I wouldn't like the Conley Irving matchup just because of all the people that can guard Kyrie in this matchup. Like Conley is the one person that is actually taller than, which is surprising. And I feel like the Mavs were kind of looking for that matchup in the end. So not ideal for that, but you need
You
Conley
can
on offense.
like if that doesn't work, they could probably switch Ant
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Conley, and then
You just
still
can't
be
have
okay.
Ant on him all 48 because that was the problem. That's why he was so tired in those first few games, especially. So yeah, we'll see.
Well, it depends on what Kyrie you're getting. If you're
Yeah,
getting Kyrie trying to get everybody involved, maybe you can get away with that. But if you have Kyrie attacking the basket, I hear you, and that's even more important. Why like they need Towns to stay out of foul trouble, not foul out.
yeah.
Stop fouling. Stop fouling. Like Anthony Edwards said.
Hmm.
Okay. He probably said a lot more than that in his press conference. I'm not going to repeat it
Definitely.
on here, but just stop fouling, Cat. Okay. And then be aggressive. If they get that cat, I don't think it matters that Edwards doesn't hit 40 points like the
Yeah.
rest of the series games. So,
Yeah, that game four was the first game that Cat and Ant outscored Kyrie and Luca. But not only because of how well they played, but also how badly Kyrie kind of played in this game. So
and it's shocking
definitely
me.
something to look
Like
out
the
for.
Mavs are going to need him. The
Oh,
Mavs are going to need
definitely.
because like if the Timberwolves continue to do a good job of keeping the Mavs out of the paint, you got Luca, and then you got to hope Washington finds his touch, and then Derek Jones Jr. is on a heater.
Yeah,
Because if Kyrie is not himself, they're very limited on what can happen outside of Jones and Washington going ballistic. So
hmm
um, I still have the Mavericks going to the finals at this point. I'm pretty sure you do too, unless the rest of America in the world does. I know you're super happy about that. Um,
I'm just
I
hoping
wow, just props to the Mavs for getting
doing it.
past the teams they've had, but
Yeah,
they
man.
still need to win one game. So hopeful that they can do it and they don't blow a 3-1 lead. But Diego, any final thoughts about the Mavs? Any motivational words for your team to close this Timberwolves team out?
I don't have any words, but I just have one fact. Every time the Mavs have lost, they've won the next game in these playoffs. So hoping for the best. Just get in the paint, as we said in my rec league, penetrate. That's it. That's all you gotta do.
Oh my.
Get in the
Okay.
paint.
Alrighty. Okay. Diego,
Mad
great way
heinous.
to end that off. Um, yeah, let's just a factor for you. It's just facts. It's just
Yeah,
facts. Like
just facts.
The Mavs are gonna win this game now. So
Hope so.
we'll see. Thank you guys for watching. Great way to end off this podcast episode. Follow us
Yes, sir.
on Instagram at amon.a.mission.
Lock it
And
in.
then on our YouTube channel, it's Amon A Mission. It's 3 words this time, no dots. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, offer up your thoughts, and eventually we will talk about the finals between the Mavericks and the Celtics. Maybe,
We
potentially.
got a week. We got a
It's about
week.
to happen. So see you guys next week and see you later.